Counting is underway in Bangladesh. Millions have voted amid tight security and violence. At least 12 people have been killed on polling day. Clashes between the ruling Awami League and the opposition BNP claimed 12 lives. However, the country's election commission says the polls were held peacefully. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who is seeking a fourth term, said that she was confident of victory. She has accused the opposition of attacking her party workers.
Now election started, how they can be so suspicious? Yes, in the past, during military dictatorship, we had many problems during the election. Since Bangladesh Awami League is in government, we always try to hold election very peacefully, and we create a congenial atmosphere so that our people can cast their vote and they can exercise their adult franchise. And I'm sure that it will happen. People will vote peacefully. Maybe some incident may take place, but that's not that much. But we lost 10 of our party members. They were killed by the BNP Jamaat. You know that BNP Jamaat is a terrorist party. They always go for terrorism and nepotism and corruption, which is their only motive. Thank you. Maybe some incident may take place, but that's not that much. But we lost 10 of our party members. They were killed by the BNP Jamaat. You know that BNP Jamaat is a terrorist party. They always go for terrorism and nepotism and corruption, which is their only motive.
And while casting his vote, opposition leader Kamal Hussain accused the country's election commission of bias. The opposition says that more than 15,000 of its candidates were detained ahead of the elections.
This process has started, votes have been given, but we are getting disturbing reports from outside Dhaka that overnight votes have been cast illegally, unlawfully, depriving the voter of his right. This is very disturbing because for this right, millions of lives had been given in 1971 and thereafter.
Let's get in further perspectives now on that story from Nazrul Islam, senior journalist joining us from Dhaka. Nazrul, what do you make of the allegations and counter-allegations that have been flying thick and fast over the very authenticity of the polling process? Several questions that have been raised over whether or not this was a free and fair election. The Election Commission also reacting quite strongly to those claims made by the opposition leaders of ballot box stuffing.
Yeah, there has been a widespread allegations of ballot boxes stuffing over the election in Bangladesh, but it is still need to be investigated by the Election Commission, I think, because Election Commission is the authority to determine whether there was any wrongdoing in the election. But generally speaking, when I visited one of the polling stations near Dhaka, I found very little people turn up to the polling stations, and there were more than 50% of the vote were cast before 12 o'clock in the noon time. So it is really very difficult to establish whether it was an inclusive election or it was not an inclusive election. The government has been claiming that there was the attacks were carried out by the opposition, and the opposition is saying that there was intimidation, that people could not turn up to the polling station, and that's why many of the opposition candidates, I mean more than 50 of the opposition contenders, pull out on the halfway to the election. So it is definitely be questioned by the opposition side, and what the government says, there was a completely peaceful election in Bangladesh compared to the election in 2014, when 20 people were at least 20 people were killed in widespread violences. Another thing is that there was the reports of the violence came later because there was a shutdown in the 4G and 3G internet mobile services, and also the plying of the motor vehicles were banned across the board. That could be another thing that the visibility of violence is very, very poor. But there has been violence, and at least 15 people are killed and reportedly killed in different parts of the country over the controlling supremacy in election polling stations.
Right, Nazrul, also, what are the figures of voter turnout telling you so far? Of course, the final confirmation will come in on those figures only at about 8 p.m. But what are the numbers looking like right now, and what do they tell you?
The tally will come from the election commission because
the voter turnout.
Voter turnout will be announced by the election commission. But there has been a presumption that there was a more than 50% turnout in the election. But given the situation, electronic voting machine was established in some of the constituencies. I mean, the 6 constituencies. I talked to one of the reporters who visited the EVM installed centers and said by 3 o'clock there was a 40% turnout. And it's very difficult right now to talk about the turnout until or unless the election commission comes up with the statistics over the election.
And to what extent do you think the incidence of violence would have impacted the voter turnout? Even though, of course, stringent security measures were put in place, several incidents of violence over the last few hours, which have been reported from different parts.
As the opposition were claiming over the past 3 weeks that they were intimidated during the campaigning, and more than 10,000 or something like that people were opposition activists were arrested, and there was a sense of fear among the opposition activists, and that's why I think many of the opposition candidates pull out from the election. And the other thing, what the Home Minister and the Chief of the Police Forces said, there was those who were arrested were not the polling agents of the opposition. Those who were arrested were only the wanted criminals. That's what the government says about the opposition allegation of intimidation and wholesale arrest of opposition workers.